PNRNetworks is a member of Patreon. Show your love for our shows by joining our ongoing fundraising campaign and get some fantastic perks in return. Check it out and become a Patreon sponsor. You can sign up at patreon.com, patreon.com/PNRNetworks. And thanks for your support.
This podcast is a member of the Blueberry Network. Blueberry. No E's. That's Blueberry, BLUBRRY.com. Blueberry.com.
This podcast is a proud member of the Lamb Podcasting Network. Find the network at largeassmovieblogs.com.
The question of the weekend is this. Where are Billy Crystal and Jack Palance when you really need them?
Well, I'm not sure where Billy Crystal is, but Jack Palance is dead.
Yes, I know. And boy, did this awards weekend need them. We're taking a different tack to our awards special. We've combined this weekend show with the awards special to bring you a little longer awards half-size regular show as we prepare for other things going on, and we'll have all the winners and losers and almost winners and a few other things going on and a few other things we're going to talk about that happened over the weekend. It's all happening on the wrap-up of awards weekend right here, right now. I'm T.C. Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
Like sands through all the hoopla. Hoopla!
This is Subject Cinema. You had to do that, didn't
Hoopla!
you?
Stand by to receive our transmission.
This town needs an enema.
Celebrating a decade of film podcasting. Blasting out of Beantown, USA, you're tuned into Subject Cinema with T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown.
Directive.
Oh, behave. Yeah.
I volunteer as tribute.
Suppose you run your business and let me run mine. Here's looking at you, kid.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome TC and Kim.
Welcome to Subject Cinema. I'm T.C. Kirkham.
Hi, I'm Kim Brown.
Subject Cinema number 558, day and date, February 27, 2017. It's Oscar time and Spirit time and Razzie time as we get through all the awards weekend, which is over last night. And boy, did we, to paraphrase Lloyd Bridges from Airplane, man, we picked the wrong year to quit watching award shows.
Mm-hmm. To paraphrase other people, mistakes were made.
We didn't watch any of them this weekend. I didn't watch the Spirits. We didn't watch the Oscars. We were just didn't want to deal with the political crap going on. Wanted to just get the awards so we could get them. And then, of course, we had a massive kerfuffle at the end of the Oscars, and
yes,
we'll get into that in a little bit. How was your week?
Well, you know,
you've been under the weather.
I've been very under the weather. I had
an eye appointment today. I actually cannot see very well right now. It always happens when you have your eyes dilated. Yippee doodle.
Yeah, so it's a fun thing.
It's like, I'm sorry, what does that say?
Yeah. So he's not feeling well. I'm not feeling well.
But we're here. The show must go on. And that's what we're here for. And so, substituting for a big movie this week, our main screen is our awards weekend coverage. Let's kick it off right here.
Tonight's movie contains sights and sounds so impressive, you'll wonder why we didn't charge you admission. Candy and popcorn are available from our snack bar. As a courtesy to all in attendance today, please refrain from smoking or talking during our feature presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The movie is about to begin.
The main screen.
unusual for this, because we haven't done this before, the Razzies were actually announced in the afternoon before the Spirit Awards started. Usually, they're released right after the Spirit Awards. And this year, they decided to release them early for some reason. And I went off on this on Variety or IndieWire, one of them yesterday. I'm like, this is just ridiculous, because it's just such a joke anymore. The Raspberries, otherwise known as the 37th Annual Golden Raspberry Awards, the Razzies, award honors, quote, close quote, question mark, to the worst films of the year. And yet, none of these films actually, very few of these films actually qualified as worst films of the year.
I wouldn't think so.
I mean, I understand that they have hatred for, anything that Zack Snyder or Dinesh D'Souza or Donald Trump has anything to do with, and they're going to strike them down. But this, we'll go into it at the end of it. Let's talk about the winners and losers.
Mm-hmm. Okay, going through the list of the films that were awarded Golden Raspberries. Starting with, let's start with the one bit of good news they actually have at the Razzies, which is the Redeemer Award, which they give to usually a performer, actor, director, whomever, that they feel has actually done something good this year after bad performances over the years or bad behavior over the years or, that kind of a deal. The Redeemer Award this year went to Mel Gibson. And we don't really need to go into all the problems Mel has had over the years, which, let's be perfectly honest, he brought on himself because some people can't hold their liquor and can't keep their mouths shut. But this year he actually managed to do a good thing in directing the war drama Hacksaw Ridge. So he was awarded the Redeemer Award. So that's actually the one nice thing to come out of the Razzies. So that's out of the way. Let's get to the Venom.
The winner for worst screenplay went to Chris Terrio and David S. Goyer for Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice.
The worst on-screen couple/ensemble went to Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill as Batman and Superman, respectively, in Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice.
Worst prequel, remake, ripoff, or sequel went to Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice.
Worst supporting actor went to Jesse Eisenberg as Alexander Lex Luthor in Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice.
Worst supporting actress went to Kristen Wiig for Zoolander 2.
Worst director went to Bruce Schooley, the director of Hillary's America, The Secret of the
Secret History of the Democratic Party,
right,
and Dinesh D'Souza. They're
yes,
both listed as director. Worst actor went to Dinesh D'Souza for Hillary's America, and worst actress went to Rebecca Turner for Hillary's America, and worst picture
went to Hillary's America, The Secret History of the Democratic Party.
There was also a new award this year that we're not familiar with, something called the Barry L. Bumstead Award for a movie that cost a lot and lost a lot. The movie was Misconduct. Mm-hmm. Now, the Razzies are a paid organization. You pay, I think it's up to $75. It might be still $50 a year to be a member of the Razzies voting pool. Mm-hmm. And I have to be honest with you. These are nowhere near the worst. I mean, I'm sorry, Batman vs. Superman may have been hated by the critics, but it still has a 60+ positive review on Rotten Tomatoes from the fans.
Yep.
And it's not a movie that everybody hated. I liked it. Anthony liked it. You liked it.
Yeah.
Brack liked it. Zorak liked it. So on and so forth. So, anyway, these are all fanboys paying their $50 a year to slam on the movies for the people, just for the simple reason of being hating on them.
Yeah. So they can say, ooh, look how cool we are.
This has been the case since the Twilight films happened. Twilight films won oodles of Razzies over the years, despite the fact that the franchise earned almost $1 billion, if not more than $1 billion, at the box office.
Although we will be the first to admit they're not good movies.
They're not great movies. They're fun movies. Twilight itself is fine. The second one is fine. The third one is okay.
They went downhill. I mean,
no, I think Eclipse was better than New Moon. And Breaking Dawn Part 1 deserved everything it won from the Razzies, but Part 2 was actually fun.
Part 2 was fun for the end. And
yeah.
and watching our friends who read the Twilight books have apoplexy in the theater.
But my thing on this is, there's not a single nomination for, I think, a movie that's even more reviled than Dawn of Justice last year, and that's Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad was hated by the critics. It was a massive box office hit. I wonder why they're so willing to put... I can tell you why they're so willing to put it out, because Batman vs. Superman was directed by Zack Snyder, and they hate Zack Snyder. Yeah. They have slammed on his films all the way through every year. Whereas Suicide Squad was actually done by David Goyer, and I believe that was who it was, and did...
Also, considering the fact...
So, anyway, go ahead.
Considering the fact that X-Men Apocalypse, which came out last year...
David Ayer, sorry, it did receive one nomination.
What did?
Suicide Squad, for worst screenplay.
X-Men Apocalypse came out last year, did not get the best, reviews from the critics. The fans were, for the most part, ambivalent or flat out didn't like it, but because it's a Marvel product, they're not going to touch it.
Which film?
X-Men Apocalypse.
Yeah. Well, see, I liked X-Men Apocalypse. I didn't like Civil War. The critics went nuts for Civil War and hated X-Men Apocalypse. Mm-hmm. And I thought Apocalypse was a much better film.
And I'd also like to bring up, seriously, all you people out there who voted for the Razzies and voted Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck worst on-screen couple. Really? Really? I mean,
when you have the other nominees, it's not on-screen couple, it's on-screen combo.
On-screen combo group, whatever.
And you had Johnny Depp and his costume for Under the Looking Glass. The entire cast of once respected actors in Collateral Beauty. That was Will Smith, Helen Mirren, and I've forgotten who else. Keira Knightley.
Cuba Gooding Jr.
Okay. And then Tyler Perry in his wig in Medea Halloween, and Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson in Zoolander 2. Seriously? Those didn't work over them?
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. Really? That's the... And the other one that was also nominated for that, the whole...
Oh, the Gods Are Mortals and Gods of Egypt.
Yeah.
Populated...
One of the most blatantly whitewashed movies of the year. But
we're not going to bring that term up anymore after this week. We'll explain why later. So get it out of your system.
But you're going to get pissy about Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill, who probably both look a hell of a lot better than most of the people who voted for the Razzies. And you know it.
Ouch.
And you know it.
The Razzies are seriously, they used to be fun, and they've turned into such a hating organization.
It's gotten so nasty.
Dinesh D'Souza actually sent a video message, basically telling them, you're only doing this, giving me these awards because you hate Donald Trump, you hate everything you stand for, and you're basically a bunch of men in your mom's basements, voting.
You're
for
angry. Yeah. You're angry, and you're probably still going to be angry.
I mean, D'Souza is not the best journalist on the planet, and he's certainly not the pariah that these people make him out to be.
Well, my thing is, these people that are screaming about this movie, that if you walked up to Joe Average on the street and asked them, hey, have you seen this movie? And you told them the title, they'd go, what?
Well, at least most people have heard of the movies that are here.
Yeah.
Heard of them. Not necessarily seen them, but heard of them.
That's true.
Unlike the Oscars. We'll get to that in a minute. I think that right there, one thing that bugged the heck out of me is they worst actor was a dead giveaway when they give it to Dinesh D'Souza. He's not an actor. He's a narrator. He's not. I haven't seen the film. I'll be honest. I did not bother with it.
I didn't bother with it either because I don't care.
You didn't know it was here. It was at Showcase for a couple of weeks.
No, I know.
But you actually give this gentleman who is a journalist, at least that's what he says, and I happened to see some of his earlier works, and I thought he was a journalist. You're going to give him this worst actor, and you've put Robert De Niro in this for Dirty Grandpa, which truly deserves an award, and Ben Stiller for Zoolander 2, and I suppose Gerard Butler, too. I don't agree with Henry Cavill or Ben Affleck. So, I just doesn't make any sense.
I'm sorry.
Even the Razzies are getting too political.
I'm sorry. You pick this guy because you don't like his politics, and you're still angry about who won the election. You pick this over the white British guy who played the Egyptian god of evil and darkness.
Well, Gerard Butler's Gerard Butler's a good actor, and it was half for that and half for London Has Fallen. And he's not British; he's Scottish.
I apologize. I apologize. That's that is a regrettable mistake.
Basically, the Razzies have become a gigantic joke. And even here, they tell you, voting Razzie members, blah blah blah. If you guys really want to be taken seriously, you really have to start doing your job seriously. There was a lot of smaller films that came out last year that were honest to goodness crap. The reason why you won't acknowledge those is because nobody's heard of them. And as I said in the comment that I left on Variety, you're not naming movies to your list because they're truly the worst. You're naming them to your list because in a year or so down the road, they're going to be on Riff Tracks and Mystery Science Theater 3000. That's what you're looking for. You don't give a damn whether the movies are bad or not. If you're honestly going to call yourselves a serious organization, and I can't believe I'm saying that about the Razzies.
I can't believe you're saying that either.
You've got to be serious about bad films.
So many
you
movies,
cannot allow the fanboys to take over the votes.
There were so many movies that were truly terrible last year. But you go after the easy targets and the soft targets anymore. And that's just lazy. That's just lazy. I'm sorry. It is what it is.
I agree. I think that, the Razzies are becoming a joke, and I'm sorry that you feel that way because I really enjoyed them over the years. Maybe it's time that the stinkers be reactivated because they went out of the way in 2010 or something like that, and they were always a little bit more serious about what they did. They dug in, tried to find really awful films, not the fanboy awful, and I think that that's hurting their reputation. So that's the Razzies. And the Spirit Awards are up next.
When Subject Cinema returns.
No film is too good or too bad for us. This is Subject Cinema.
In a world where podcasts already seem to address every imaginable subject, one man broke new ground with a seemingly random obsession about exploding helicopters in movies. He was a podcaster on the edge, a maverick broadcaster who played by his own rules. Now, he has a last chance to talk about the strange way helicopters explode in film. Exploding Helicopter, available on iTunes and Podomatic now. Think you know about chopper fireballs? Think again.
All movies, all the time. Subject Cinema.
Tonight's movie contains sights and sounds so impressive, you'll wonder why we didn't charge you admission. Candy and popcorn are available from our snack bar. As a courtesy to all in attendance today, please refrain from smoking or talking during our feature presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The movie is about to begin.
The main screen.
Welcome back to Subject Cinema. I'm Kim Brown.
I'm T.C. Kirkham, and this is Subject Cinema number 558. It is our annual awards show wrap-up. We're a day late for the regular show because we decided to combine it with our Oscar weekend wrap-up, and we're up to the 32nd Annual Independent Spirit Awards, which were handed out on Saturday afternoon in the big, giant jerky tent in Santa Monica by hosts Nick Kroll and John Mulaney. And we didn't watch this one either. I haven't watched Spirit Awards off and on, only for the last couple of years. I'll sit there and I'll keep the volume off. But this year, I was too busy doing other things.
Well, not only that, half the time they have to yell because they're on the beach.
Well, they're in a tent. They're in a soundproof tent. But I knew going in, despite the fact that we are voting members of the Spirit Awards, and I knew that the two things I cared about were not going to win. They didn't have a chance. And if they had an upset, I would be ecstatic. And I did tape it so I could fast scan through it later if I want to. But in any case...
In case a miracle happened, newsflash, it
didn't. Best feature at the Spirit Awards went to Moonlight, with Barry Jenkins taking the director, also for Moonlight.
Best male lead went to Casey Affleck for Manchester by the Sea, and best female lead went to Isabelle Huppert for Elle.
Best supporting male went to Ben Foster, Hell or High Water. Best supporting female, Molly Shannon in Other People.
Best screenplay went to Barry Jenkins and Terrell Alvin McCraney for Moonlight, and best first screenplay went to Robert Eggers for The Witch.
Which also won best first feature, best documentary feature, OJ, Made in America.
Best cinematography, the winner was James Laxton for Moonlight, and best editing went to Joy, I hope it's Joy, McMillan, and Nat Sanders for Moonlight.
Best international film was Tony Erdmann from Germany and Romania, and the Cassavetes Casting Award went to, the Robert Altman Casting Award went to Moonlight. The John Cassavetes Award, which goes to a film made for less than $500,000, I think it is, or maybe it's even lower than that, went to Spa Night.
The Acura Someone to Watch Award, which recognizes a talented filmmaker of singular vision who has not yet received appropriate recognition award, went to Anna Rose Holmer, the director of The Fits. And the Piaget Producer Award went to Jordana Malik for Hello, My Name is Doris.
I'm not sure Anna Rose was is that a... Oh, yeah, it is a filmmaker, okay. And Truer Than Fiction Award, which goes to a nonfiction emerging director, went to Nafu Wang for Hooligan Sparrow.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, a lot of these crossed over with Oscar. La La Land was ineligible here. It cost too much to make. You have to have $20 million or below for your budget at the Spirits. And so Moonlight swept in and won pretty much everything it could. And it could not win any acting awards because they were chosen as the ensemble, and they're automatically disqualified from the individual acting awards for that at the Independent Spirits. So Casey Affleck had the one off note of the night, winning for Manchester by the Sea, and got up there and made some rambling speech in, un-American, all the stuff going on is un-American, blah 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 blah. I've forgotten the exact quote. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. This is why we're not watching the awards, because I just don't want to deal with everybody, one way or the other. I don't care which way they're politicizing. I'm sick of the politics.
Just get up, say thank you for the shiny, and sit down. I'm sorry.
Of course, I was disappointed. I mean, not to say that you don't have people are always getting ragged on for saying, well, stars have the right to say what they want to. They do. They absolutely, to quote Meryl, they absolutely do. Excuse me, that's Julia. It's Meryl as Julia.
Meryl quoting Julia.
That's Meryl as Julia. But I would appreciate it if they did it at the press thing after they won their award. Keep it off stage. Because Meryl ruined the Golden Globes with her speech. Everybody hated that speech. She may well deep six any movie she has coming out this year because of that speech, which was perceived to be hateful toward Middle America. And I mean, it's like, holy cow.
And because the thing is, people seem to forget. Now, it's odd that I bring this up because I'm like the techno-phobic nitwit in the house. I'm the person that is hitting the computer with a stick.
Nitwit.
I'm the caveman hitting the computer with a stick.
Oh, please.
Box work now.
Excuse me, miss, I'm always on my smartphone.
Yeah, but if something went wrong, I'd be like, it's...
As you frequently do.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But my point is, people tend to forget that what you say nowadays is probably going to go on the internet. And the internet...
Not probably, definitely.
And the internet...
Damn interwebs.
Boys and girls, is forever.
No, not anymore. Not with the courts ruling in Europe and places that you have a right to be forgotten, which is just a bunch of crap.
But my point is that, 6 months down the road when Meryl's promoting a new movie, somebody out there with an axe to grind can all of a sudden go, hey, Middle America, remember when Meryl Streep said this about you?
I don't remember what exactly she said, but she basically slammed on NASCAR and football.
Yeah. It was
not a good idea.
It came off very elitist.
It did. And the sad thing is, Meryl's perfectly welcome to say that, and she has on many occasions. It would have been nice if she hadn't brought it up during this award, which was a Lifetime Achievement Award, where she was winning this big big honor from the Hollywood Foreign Press.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually heard that a number of foreign press people were really pissed off at her afterward.
Mm-hmm.
My point is, awards are for awards. Do the politicking on the red carpet and in the awards room later. Most middle Americans and most people who, average Joes who watch the Oscars, want to see the glitz, the glamour, and the music and the fun and the movies. They don't care about the politics.
No.
And I'm one of them. And we'll talk a little bit more about this as we go through. I do want to say I'm very sorry to Ira Sachs and his partner, Mauricio Zacharias. They did not win Best Original Screenplay for Little Men. They were up for it. And Paulina Garcia was up for Best Supporting Female. She plays Leonore, Tony's mom, in Little Men. There were no nominations for Theo or Michael, both of whom very much deserved them over other people here. And I'm like, okay, that's it for me. At least they tried to keep it out of the Spirit Awards. Casey's was the only speech the entire night that had any political stuff in it. Mm-hmm. The hosts were, hosts, there's a different thing between hosts and stars. Yeah. The hosts are there to be political and shocking and funny. And that's fine.
And that's great.
And, if you can make people laugh with politics jokes, fine. But that's your job. It isn't the job of the stars to do it at that particular point.
No.
It irks me that they do this. I understand they feel like it's an arena for them.
It's a forum. And if it's a forum where and I absolutely have no problem with people bringing up a cause or something like that. If people want to bring, I have no problem with that. But we understand people are still pissed off about the election. We get it. But
we're going to be getting it for at least the next 4 years.
Yeah. I just think that, we're definitely not saying that if you have a cause or if you have something you feel passionate about, don't go up there and say something. Of course, say something about it. If you're up there and you want to say something about, the fact that we're still dealing with poverty and we're still dealing with AIDS and we're still dealing with war and stuff like that, and can we finally, evolve beyond that? Great, say stuff like that. But we get that people are pissed off about the election. Can we talk about something else for 5 seconds, please?
No, because you're not. We're Hollywood. We know what's best for you. No, I'm sorry, you don't. What's best for me is for me to make up my own mind about politics. Either way, I lean right on some things, I lean left on some things, and I lean in the middle on some things.
I lean sideways on most things.
Well, yeah, you always do lean sideways or perpendicular.
Whee!
Anyway, it was nice to see the Spirit try to keep it out of there, and it was, from what I heard, a good show, and I might actually try to take it in later this week and see what happens.
This is probably why nobody comes to me about political advice.
Congratulations to the team behind Moonlight for winning so much, and the Oscars and all of the craziness therein at the end of the awards are coming up
when Subject Cinema returns.
Real movies for real people. Subject Cinema.
Check out the Blueprint Review podcast at blueprintreview.co.uk. This could be interesting because I know we've got some very diverse. I'm going to be arguing with Darren a lot.
I think it's going to be me v you lot, with maybe Laura sat in the middle.
To be honest, I think it's about expectation.
Yeah.
Like, I think.
Yeah, I expected it to
Welcome to the soundtrack of your life. You're listening to Subject Cinema with TC Kirkham and Kim Brown.
Tonight's movie contains sights and sounds so impressive, you'll wonder why we didn't charge you admission. Candy and popcorn are available from our snack bar. As a courtesy to all in attendance today, please refrain from smoking or talking during our feature presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The movie is about to begin.
The main screen.
We are back with our Awards Weekend special, combined schmooshed with a regular episode and a few other little ditties here on Subject Cinema. I'm T.C. Kirkham.
Hi, I'm Kim Brown.
We're up to our third part of our main screen, and that is the Academy Awards. Mm-hmm. This is the biggie. Everyone starts breathing Oscar, 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 Oscar at the Toronto Film Festival in September. And then you just get so sick of it by the time that it happens. It's crazy. The 89th Annual Academy Awards were handed out Sunday night on the 26th of February. Jimmy Kimmel hosting, doing a pretty good job from what I heard. Once again, for the first time in over 2 decades, I missed an Oscar telecast. Mm-hmm. Deliberately. I did not watch the Oscars. I didn't watch the Oscars because I didn't want to deal with all the political stuff, as we've been saying. It actually turned out not to be too political. There were a few barbs, and of course Kimmel got political, but he's supposed to. He's the host. But there was a lot of major, interesting things happening, and it is now hilariously funny about one particular Oscar winner, and it is also not so hilariously funny of the kerfuffle that happened at the very end of the show. But let's start from the bottom.
Yes. Starting with Best Film Editing, the Oscar goes to John Gilbert for Hacksaw Ridge. Best Visual Effects, the Academy Award went to The Jungle Book, the team of Robert Legato, Adam Valdez, Andrew R. Jones, and Dan Lemon.
Best Costume Design went to Colleen Atwood for Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
Woohoo!
And Best Makeup and Hairstyling, hold on to your hats, folks, Alessandro Bertolazzi, Giorgio Giacorini, and Christopher Nelson for Suicide Squad. Academy Award-winning Suicide Squad. Oh, my frog. Okay.
Insert maniacal laugh here. For Best Cinematography, the Academy Award went to La La Land for Linus Sandgren. Best Production Design also went to La La Land, the team of David Wasco and Sandy Reynolds Wasco.
For Best Sound Mixing, the winner was Hacksaw Ridge, Kevin O'Connell, Andy Wright, Robert McKenzie, and Peter Grace. And Best Sound Editing, Arrival, Sylvain Bellamare, I believe it is.
You got me. I think you're really close, though. Best Original Score, the winner was Justin Hurwitz for La La Land. And Best Original Song went to City of Stars from La La Land. Music by Justin Hurwitz, lyric by Benj Pasek and Justin Paul.
Best Live Action Short Film went to Sing. Directors Christoph Dieck and Anna Udvardy, not to be confused, of course, with the animated film of the same name. And Best Animated Short, Piper from Pixar, Alan Baraglio and Mark Sondheimer, directors.
Hold on just 1 second before we go any further.
She's going to squee.
Kermit Flail! Yay! I loved Piper.
They showed it in its entirety on CBS Sunday Morning this week, too.
Best Documentary Feature, the Oscar went to O.J., Made in America, directed by Ezra Edelman and Caroline Waterlow. And Best Documentary Short Subject went to The White Helmets, directed by Orlando von Einsdell.
Einsendel,
I'm very sorry. And Joanna Nastagara.
Nice job.
I completely mangled your names, folks.
I don't think so. I think you did a good job.
And I'm so sorry.
For Best Foreign Language Film, one of the upsets of the night, The Salesman from Iran, directed by Asghar Farhadi. And Best Animated Film, Zootopia. Byron Howard, Rich Moore, and Clark Spencer, directors.
Best Original Screenplay, the Academy Award went to Manchester by the Sea, written by Kenneth Lonergan. And Best Adapted Screenplay went to Moonlight, written by Barry Jenkins and Terrell Alvin McCraney, from In Moonlight, Black Boys Look Blue by Terrell Alvin McCraney.
For Best Supporting Actress, the winner was Viola Davis for Fences. And I think I've finally gotten the name right after all this time. For Best Supporting Actress, Mahershala Ali for Moonlight.
Emma Stone won the Oscar for Best Actress for her role in La La Land. And the Best Actor Academy Award winner was Casey Affleck for Manchester by the Sea.
Best Director went to Damien Chazelle for La La Land, and Best Picture was awarded to La La Land. Oh, no, whoops, it wasn't. It was, but it didn't last very long. The actual Best Picture winner was Moonlight. Now, how do we explain this? At the end of the awards ceremony, Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway were reunited at the 50th anniversary of Bonnie and Clyde to give away Best Picture. Warren opened the envelope and stood there for about 15 seconds trying to figure out what was going on. He handed the envelope to Faye. She saw the words La La Land and announced La La Land. The La La Land team came up, and then a minute and a half later, there's this activity going on in the background, and the producer of La La Land said, "Just a minute, we have this big mistake. The actual Best Picture is Moonlight," and held up the card to show it was Moonlight. Somebody from Price Cooper Waterhouse gave Warren Beatty the wrong envelope. It was the backup for Best Actress, which had just been awarded to Emma Stone a few minutes earlier. So you have egg on your face all the way around, and this is not the first time there's been kerfuffles at Oscar.
No.
But,
it's one of the first times. It is one of the first times that a kerfuffle at Oscar didn't involve a naked dude.
Well, there was one. No, there was one back in the day when Will Rogers was hosting the show, where he brought up. There were 3 nominees for Best Actress at the time, and he brought up 2 of the Best Actresses, told them they were great, and awarded it to the other one that hadn't been on stage yet. He was not asked back as host. I'm like, what? This was interesting only in the fact that there was a major... some people thought this was really boring. It did run almost 45 minutes late. It didn't get over till 12:15. And it was also... so I bet I don't even have that. I didn't set it to tape that long. I may not even have that kerfuffle on tape.
Yeah. For those of you, by the way, who didn't get my naked dude remark, that was in regards to the 46th Academy Awards in 1974.
74. Okay.
When a man named Robert Appel ran across the stage naked.
Streaking behind host David Niven. I remember that.
Because streaking was apparently something people did in the 70s.
Well, that was when the streak was at the top of the chart at that time. So it's that I understand.
If you saw the clothes from the 70s, you'd take them off too. But, it's...
As somebody pointed out, and I think this is an interesting fact, Moonlight is the first ever Best Picture winner by a black director. It is the first ever... Best Picture winner about a black story that has nothing to do with what the writer termed the struggle. It was an average, everyday story about one person's life.
Yeah.
And it's the first LGBTQ storyline to ever receive a Best Picture.
Right.
So, that's really something.
If you think about the fact that, a lot of the films that have dealt with African American issues, they're dealing with the Civil War. They're dealing
most of them have.
Post-Civil War, they're dealing with the Civil Rights Movement. This is a more modern film, definitely modern film.
It was a character piece. It has nothing to do with any of that stuff.
And dealing with LGBTQ issues.
I did think it was interesting.
Great.
There was an interesting poll yesterday taken that was on CBS Sunday Morning that they took a poll, and of that poll, only 10% of the people that were polled had seen even one of the Academy Award nominated Best Picture films. Now, this Oscar was down in the ratings. It's the lowest rated Oscar since Jon Stewart's year 9 years ago as host. It's interesting to note that every year when there's movies that are nominated for everything, and usually especially Best Picture, there's nothing that's recognizable. You recognize the titles because there were massive ad campaigns for Arrival, Fences, Hacksaw Ridge, Hell or High Water, La La Land, and Manchester by the Sea. All had massive ad campaigns. But they weren't universal stories. The only film that actually qualifies as sort of a universal story, according to most people that saw it, was Hidden Figures, which is about the black ladies of NASA.
Mm-hmm.
Who knew? That's why they're called Hidden Figures. And that's a terrific thing.
These are people who...
And everybody I know that saw it loved that film.
These are people who, let's be perfectly honest, should be, if things were fair in the world, these women should be just as famous as the men that went up in the rocket ships.
They will be
perfectly
now,
honest.
hopefully.
You know.
They actually had one of them, the last surviving one was there last night. I did catch a little bit here and there in between commercials. And I mean, some of these, none of these were ever in wide release.
No.
Except Manchester by the Sea and
that
Hacksaw Ridge.
Manchester by the Sea, as far as I can tell, only got in wide release after people started talking about it.
It went into wide release 2 weeks before Christmas. It's been in wide release since.
Okay.
But its critical claim has been, you know, everybody. Oh, Arrival was wide too. These are films that are not necessarily. I mean, Arrival was probably the bone to the average fan this year. The problem was not that many people saw it. I mean, I was talking to the cab driver this morning on my way to the doctor, and he was asking me, and he said, "You know what it is the fact that nobody's ever heard or seen of the films they nominate." And I said, "Yeah, but the Oscars are not about popularity; they're about craft." Mm-hmm. And that is why so many smaller films get nominated for so many Oscars. Even though La La Land has had universal appeal, according to people that have seen it, some people have said it has a really downer ending. Manchester by the Sea is said to have an extreme downer, period, the entire film. Mm-hmm. And the only one of the major winner, probably Moonlight, which also has a downer ending, according to people, is still uplifting throughout most of the film because you're getting so engrossed in the story. So it's like, okay, Oscar needs to do something to really get back on track. Maybe they need to follow the BAFTAs and award an audience award winner.
Maybe.
Because if you, BAFTAs and a couple of other places have introduced audience awards. With the BAFTAs, it's not for a film, it's for Rising Star. They put up 5 nominations there, and even then, you know, the public are getting in there and voting on it, and they gave it to Tom Holland when it clearly should have went to Ruth Negga. But that's my personal taste. It's like if the fans had something they could grasp on for the Oscars.
If the fans had a film they could identify with.
Well, it's
say,
not even that.
Hey,
it's not necessarily the film.
Hmm.
If the fans had something with the ceremony that they can grab onto, a popular, like an audience award winner or a Rising Star award, something that would be an honorary Oscar. You wouldn't even have to give them a real statuette, just give them a plaque with a statue on it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It would get people involved again. And it also, I think that people expect so much political stuff here that it drives them away. And it doesn't keep them interested because they're more interested. I mean, last night I caught Mahershala's riveting speech thanking his family and thanking, the people that have been important in his life for his getting him to where he is, and his teachers, his acting teachers. He is a dynamite actor. I've loved him in everything I've ever seen the man in, and he's just terrific. And there was nothing about color in it at all. It was just, this is who it is, and leave it at that. We don't need, an Oscar so white. We don't need a diversity thing. It's Mahershala Ali. He's a fantastic actor. He happens to be black, big deal. That's the way it should be, always. The same went with Viola Davis, who won Supporting Actress. Mm-hmm. Her speech was a little bit more rambling, although people said it was really good.
What I saw of it was really passionate, and she really.
And again, she's one of the best actresses on the planet right now.
It was really passionate, and she really spoke from her heart, which is really important. When you think about the fact that actors and actresses, I know a lot of people. Now, I'm speaking from personal experience because I have been on stage a lot. Never been paid, but nobody's ever thrown anything, so yay me.
That's because you haven't started your stand-up routines yet.
When you're on stage and you give a performance and you make people feel something, whether it's you make them laugh, you make them cry, you scare the hell out of them, and speaking from personal experience, that's so much fun.
It is. I speak from personal experience, too.
When you can take people out of themselves for a minute and make them forget their troubles and stuff like that, I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, they're just actors. That's just playing pretend. That's not a real job. No, it's not a real job. It's a calling. And they say if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. And I think that actors do that. They get to do that. And I think that a lot of actors are genuinely honored that they get to do that.
Yeah,
and
so
when you see people like Viola Davis...
Viola,
we
got to get it right.
Oh, gosh, I always do that.
I do that, too. I keep
myself.
doing Viola, too, and it's Viola.
When you hear her speak from her heart and you realize this isn't just a job, this isn't just a paycheck for somebody like her, you know, who is such an incredibly, amazingly talented human being, you know, that's important. You know, we need more of that. We need more stuff that celebrates creativity in a world that's so full of death and darkness and despair and sadness. You know, we need more.
Well, there's happiness in the world, too.
Well, there is.
Don't deny that.
No, there is. There is beauty in the world, and there is joy and good things in the world too. But I think sometimes people tend to pass them by and not really think about them unless they're right there. And sometimes the right there has to be up on a gigantic screen.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
yeah.
That's just my opinion.
I just really think that the Oscars. Well, I don't know who's going to be doing the accounting for the Oscars next year after the big boo-boo from PricewaterhouseCoopers.
Somebody's getting chucked under the bus for this one.
To their credit, the La La Land team was extremely gracious last night, and they were, they had already won 6 awards. The only thing I think they really lost was the Ryan Gosling loss to Casey Affleck in the lead category. But it's like...
which has also caused more than its share of controversy.
Yeah. I'm a bit disappointed that Kubo came away with nothing. They were nominated for Best Animated Feature. And I think I've always thought this. Zootopia is a fine film, but I always thought Kubo was the better film. Kubo is so painstakingly hand-done with stop motion. Zootopia is a computer film. That's not to take away from either one of them. They're both excellent films. In fact, all of the nominees were good this year, except we haven't seen Red Turtle yet. It is now.
No.
And Zucchini, we didn't see it either. And it came out this last weekend, and we'll have a review of it next week. There's a lot of interesting stuff. But those two films, I really think Kubo got the shaft. It also lost visual effects. But it was, which is weird that it was nominated for visual effects as an animated film, but it was because of the stop motion process that it got that. And I wish it had won one of them. It really deserved it.
I agree.
I think Zootopia sometimes is overplugged by its huge legion of fans because it celebrates diversity in the best possible way, and it's. But you know, I think should be room for other things besides political messages.
Yeah.
And
I totally agree with that.
Anyway.
And also just the fact that Kubo was a kick-ass movie.
Kubo is awesome. If you've not seen it, it's on everywhere on demand and out in DVD. Please see it. That's going to wrap up the awards ceremony. Now, of course, sometime in the next week, one of the goons over at IndieWire, I love them all, will have up their 2018 Oscar predictions. They always do it within a week or two after the Oscars, basing it on the movies they're hearing about and what they've already seen this year, which drives me crazy. There should be a law: no Oscar predictions before September 1st, and no actual prognostications until after January 1st.
I'll drink to that.
It just gets so tedious. In any case, we will have more when we come back.
Don't go away. Subject Cinema will return.
Real movies for real people. Subject Cinema.
His movies.
Way to go, Charlie.
I think it rips through your clothes when it takes you over.
More human than human is our motto.
He tasks me, and I shall have him.
Her movies.
The hills are alive. You're so jealous you can hardly breathe.
The rum!
Yes, the rum is gone.
Why is the rum gone?
Suddenly my life doesn't seem such a waste.
Fuzzy Fur Movies. The Cavebabble Podcast. We babble about the movies you love. And probably a few that you love to hate. Find out more at Cavebabble.com. Also available on iTunes, Stitcher, and by Smoke Signal. C-A-V-E. Babble. Cavebabble.com. Movies for him, her, and you.
If you're looking for great films, well, that's okay. You'll like us anyway. Subject Cinema.
Going to use freeze frame to make a little announcement this week also. So, Netflix has just pretty much upended the game. I've been talking that I've been reading a wonderful writer named Bill Deaver. He's part of the Drive-Ins USA group, and I get his newsletter every week, and his stuff is fascinating. And like us, he is centered on bringing the theater experience into the future. Mm-hmm. Theaters are the future. You don't want to give in more and more stuff to streaming and on-demand and stuff. And I understand that a lot of people out there feel that that's the way to go, but they're thinking strictly about revenue, and that irritates me because it shouldn't be just about revenue, although revenue should be part of it.
No.
This week on Netflix, they debuted a new movie, we will review it next week, called I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore. Now, why is this important? Number one, it has a good cast. Melanie Linsky, Elijah Wood, a couple of other good people are in it too. It's a revenge thriller done comedy style by Macon Blair, the star of Blue Ruin a couple years ago, and now he's getting into directing. This film, less than 6 weeks ago, won the grand prize at the Sundance Film Festival. Now, by going straight to Netflix, it has taken itself completely off of any shot it has at major awards next year. Because the awards, the Oscars, the Golden Globes, and the Spirits all award theatrical releases. Netflix has only been releasing a handful in theaters when they buy it. The thing that irks me more than anything about this is that IndieWire and other places are allowing Netflix to get away with calling these films Netflix originals. They are not originals. They are acquisitions. Originals are movies that Netflix puts up the money for and makes specifically for networks, like the deal they have with Adam Sandler. Mm-hmm. It is not the films they go buy at Sundance and Slamdance and other festivals and then throw them on to Netflix, don't give them any shot on the theater, and there it goes out the window for the filmmakers and stuff. They're getting the front pay from Netflix, but all the kudos are going to be missing.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, this is not right. And then, to everyone's shock and horror in Hollywood, it was announced last Thursday that Netflix has made a deal with Martin Scorsese for his latest film, The Irishman. Martin Scorsese, the champion of film preservation, the champion of we must see films in the theaters, you've got to be able to see it out there in the big screen, has signed a deal to take his latest film to Netflix. What the hell are you thinking, Marty? Honestly. I thought you were behind the film, people.
I'm just going to go behind this blast screen over here.
No, I'm done. I just wanted to get that out of the way. Now, there are problems stemming from this. He went out the next day and said he still wants to see him in the theater. Movies at home are not the same thing. You can be interrupted by phone calls and other things, and you should still be seeing movies in the theater. But didn't explain why he sold the new film to Netflix. Mm-hmm. And then several of the people who bought the film to distribute in other countries when it was at the American film market this year are crying foul because Netflix is claiming international rights. So it may be stuck in a big kerfuffle as far as I know. But the fact that Martin Scorsese is dealing straight with Netflix now, is not a good thing for the film industry. It could be the first big nail in the coffin of the theater industry.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. This is what I got to say here. Netflix is ignoring the theatrical market, and Amazon has embraced it with open arms. Now, I get really frustrated by Amazon because they make it impossible, nearly impossible for me, to get a decent list of the stuff that they're premiering on Amazon Prime every week for Tuesday Digidex. It's a bitch. And I have a real hard time with it. But Jeff Bezos and his people get it. When they go to a film festival, they are buying them. Sometimes they'll buy smaller films that probably wouldn't get a big launch in theaters anyway, that will play directly on Prime. But in the case of a major acquisition, they are taking them into theaters.
Mm-hmm.
Amazon just won a Spirit and an Oscar for Manchester by the Sea in Casey Affleck. Both days. Manchester by the Sea, Amazon's first major theatrical release. Wide release, moneymaker. It was one of the biggest indie grosses of the year. Why isn't Netflix following this? Netflix released Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon to a few IMAX theaters that would take it. They released Beasts of No Nation to a few theaters to get it Oscar notice.
Yep.
And they did the same with a couple of their documentaries, 13th and a couple of other ones. Why are they intent on destroying the theatrical model?
I don't know.
Because it irritates me that when they can pull in somebody like Martin Scorsese, that's just wrong. It's fine to have movies on Netflix that are made with Netflix in mind. Or it's fine to buy smaller films at film festivals that might show better on Netflix. It might have a much wider audience. A movie like Little Men, which is now on Netflix after being in theaters for months, may be seen by 3 times as many people on demand.
Yeah, that it was.
Than it will be on in the theater.
Right.
That's fantastic. But wait till its theatrical run is over, or do it concurrently, like Magnolia does. Most of Magnolia's films hit their day and date service on demand the same time they hit theaters.
That's true.
Little Men was one of the few that didn't this year. So we've been talking, and we are firmly in theatrical corner. We will watch films on Netflix. We watch films on Netflix all the time.
Yeah.
I love Netflix. It's a great service. And we get Amazon Video. We get tons of movie channels on Roku. We get screeners online all the time that we watch on Vimeos and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's fine for what it is, because we can't get to the theater, or they don't show around here. Street Cat Named Bob went to one tiny theater in Newburyport? No, Gloucester. And didn't come anywhere in major Boston area. And we wouldn't have gotten to see it without a screener, and it ended up winning a ton of awards at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So, here's what we need to do. We've been talking about this for a while. And to me, having Netflix exclusively launch a movie, film festival or not, like I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore, makes that a TV movie, a made-for-television movie, because it did not receive theatrical release.
Right.
This is what we are doing. Effective with this calendar year, 2017, we are amending the nomination rules for the Poppies and Rosies. We have not done this before. We haven't needed to clarify this before. And so we are clarifying it now, and it is going to become a part of our, if you ask us this question, we will tell you your movie, if it is not in theaters, will not be considered for the major categories. Here's what we're going to do. Proposal is how I wrote this to Kim. In order to qualify for awards in the major Poppies and Rosies categories, Best Narrative, Best Documentary, Best Animated Film, Best Director, and Lead and Supporting Actor categories, and the year-end Best Film lists, a film must have a theatrical release of at least 1 week in at least one of the top 50 U.S. markets. If a film does not have a noted theatrical release as noted above, it will be relegated to the new category Best Streaming Film. Actors and other personnel in such films will not receive categories of their own and will not be eligible to be nominated for Best Actor or Supporting Actor or Best Actress or Supporting Actress in the theatrical films category.
Mm-hmm.
Films that are released day and date to both theaters and streaming are considered theatrical films and will be eligible for all awards. This is something that the Oscars and the Spirit Awards do, and I wish we didn't have to do this. It irritates me that we have to do this, but I don't think it's fair that we're going to be considering streaming films made for Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, Crackle, all these that are doing new original stuff. CBS All Access eventually.
Mm-hmm.
They do not deserve to be considered with feature films, and I feel strongly about that. And I think to do otherwise would do what happened to the Emmys. The Emmys got bit on the ass a few years ago. For many years, the Emmys refused to acknowledge cable television.
Yep.
And for a number of years, the cable industry had its own awards, the Cable Ace Awards.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 1987 or 88, Turner and all these people got together and finally convinced the Television Academy of Arts and Sciences, let cable in. And the cable has dominated everything ever since. There's been very few network shows still nominated for anything. So that's what broke up the entire network monopoly on TV. If you think this is wrong, I'd love to know. I'd love to hear from you on your opinion. Subject Cinema at PNRNetworks.com.
Mm-hmm.
And because I think it's important that we support the theatrical model, and in order to be considered for an award from PNR, one, we have to see the film, and number two, it has to be a theatrical release, documented theatrical release, which we can get documentation from one of the 4 major box office sites online. If it's not being considered in the major categories anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I know you agree with me.
I do. I think that. We're definitely not knocking Netflix for doing this.
No, absolutely not. I mean, these movies are great. We'll still review them on the show. We'll still
Totally.
talk about them, but they won't be eligible for major awards because they're Netflix originals.
Right. And if we have to come up with awards for them separately, we'll
Which
do
we
that.
are, yeah.
Yeah. I think that this is just... I think it's in the interest of fairness, to be perfectly honest. And also the simple fact that we don't want to see movie theaters fade away.
Right.
They don't deserve to fade away. They deserve to be part of the public consciousness.
I think Netflix needs to follow Amazon's model. It worked. It paid off big time for Amazon. And yet they didn't learn. I mean, Netflix basically just throws things out there and goes, oh, well, and expected Beast of No Nation to do well at the Oscars, and it didn't get anything.
Mm-hmm.
It did get a couple Spirit Awards, but it didn't get an Oscar nomination. But 13th did, and so there's a lot of,
Yeah.
It depends on which way it goes. They've got to be willing to go the theatrical model as well as TV.
Absolutely.
What do you think? Subject Cinema at PNRNetworks.com.
Subject Cinema.
Alright guys, so we need to record our top 3 reasons why you should listen to French Toast Sunday podcast.
Number 3 should definitely be our diverse opinions.
Number 2 should probably be our top 3 lists that we do every week.
No, it's gotta be Mark Wahlberg.
What about Gwyneth Paltrow's head?
It's gotta be Fighting the Sadness in the Swamp of Sadness.
Full Frontal.
Stories about being lost at sea.
Brendan Fraser being underground.
Helen Mirren's boobs.
Baltimore accents as heard in The Wire.
Wunderklaus. Crepes. Character studies.
Wait, guys. What about movies?
Nah.
Tree rape.
Tree rape? Yeah, I like tree rape.
Tune in every Friday for a new episode of French Toast Sunday podcast, brought to you by us at FrenchToastSunday.com.
Clothing made out of Burger King wrappers.
TC Kirkham and Kim Brown. Real movies for real people. Subject Cinema.
Festival Flash! It's Boston Springs Festival time! Woo! And the Boston Sci-Fi has already happened, and this week, eCinemaBoston returns with a vengeance, baby! With complete coverage of all the festivals in the Boston area between March 1st and May 15th. Mm-hmm. That's 9 festivals, folks, and 3 film series. And we're going to have it all for you. We have already opening night films have been announced. Ironically, both Underground and Irish said they'd announce in February. No announcements yet, but both Boston International and now today, Wicked Queer, have announced their opening night films.
Right.
We'll cover that later this week. But it's going to be a crazy month, and of course it will start with daily coverage of the Salem Film Fest, the 10th annual Salem Film Fest, which we cannot get to, I'm so sorry. And it's going to have daily schedules, film profiles, all kinds of stuff, just like every other festival in the Boston area. We are your go-to source for Boston Festival information as of this Wednesday when eCinemaBoston.com returns to the airwaves with complete coverage of all the festivals. And it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have, I've looked at Salem's list. There's some good stuff there. We're trying to connect with the filmmakers to make sure that they get full coverage and be able to give them profiles and stuff, and we're able to get screeners, and hopefully it'll all work out.
Yep.
The same goes with all the other festivals. This is our most exciting time of the year.
It is.
We'll be getting exhausted over the next couple of weeks.
We will.
And we'll end it up in May, not with a festival, but we've already managed to land tickets to see Tapeface in concert in late May, which we can't wait to see. If you don't know who that is, you missed America's Got Talent last summer. He is a freaking riot.
We are very excited and more than a little nervous.
And far enough away from the stage that we don't get picked, hopefully, to be up on stage. Anyway, we will be covering Salem Film Fest, and then it'll start in earnest following Salem with the Boston Underground, Boston International, Boston Irish, Wicked Queer, Boston Real Abilities, Boston, I'm missing several of them, and of course ending in late April with the Independent Film Festival of Boston. And there's a couple other ones, plus there's the Dockyard Film Series, the Belmont World Film Series. Oh, the Turkish Festival, that's the one I forgot, the Boston Turkish Festival. And it's going to be insane. And I enjoy doing this so much every year. I get completely crazy, but I have a lot of fun because I know that Boston people are reading it and watching it and keeping an eye on it and finding out about really good films. And hopefully we'll be able to help you find out about really good films too.
And it's definitely something that you want to consider where you live. If you hear us talking about this and you don't live in the Massachusetts area, think to yourself, hey, I wonder if there's any film festivals where I live, and Google around where you live. You might be surprised. And trust me when I tell you that, you hear about like a film festival and you think, well, I don't really know if that's for me because...
Some people have a stereotyped view of film festivals. Like, there's a scene in It's Complicated where Steve Martin calls up Meryl Streep and I said, I have 2 tickets to the Fringe Film Festival. You want to go? And, of course, people immediately think French Film Festival. Oh, for fruit rotting on the wall to the tune of Alouette.
Yeah.
No, that's not what it is.
You can find film festivals about everything. Sports, people with, all kinds of issues and all kinds of festivals. You can find something out there. And like I said, Google where you live. Google the state you're in and find film festivals. You might find out that, Wisconsin has a cheese film festival for all I know. No offense to anybody in Wisconsin.
It wouldn't surprise me. Boston, which has all these great festivals in the spring and another round of them in the fall, also has these one-day fringe festivals. There's the Boston Bike Film Festival. the Boston Pancake Film Festival, which started last year, and I don't know what it is, and it's terrifying me.
Yeah, we know there's
there's little burgs around here. Arlington has one, and Salem, and it's crazy.
You always manage to find at least one film. I mean, sometimes you get lucky, and every single film you go to at a film festival, you're like, wow, that was awesome.
It's usually what's happened to us in Salem.
I can say that doesn't happen every time, because every once in a while you get hit with something that you're like, what the F did I just watch?
The Future?
Yep.
COG?
Yeah. But I guarantee you, at least one film, you will come out of a film festival with at least one film. It may not be your new favorite film, but it will definitely be the film that you go and tell your friends, I saw this amazing film at a film festival. And if you think you're not a film festival type of person, you might wind up becoming one.
Over the last few years, a lot of our top films of the year have become, mine. The last couple of years, Kim has been stuck in superhero Star Wars mode. But me, Little Men came out of the film festival circuit. Perks launched at a film festival. A whole bunch of, you guys have got to know, over the years, Brick, Risk Cutters, Departures, a good deal of my Best Picture winners have started at film festivals. So
one of the films that TC's been raving about all year, Little Men, came out of the film festival. Yeah. And you wind up seeing, sometimes you see films that kind of are forgettable, and sometimes you wind up seeing a film where there are cows on fire running down the boulevard of a medieval Japanese village.
13 Assassins.
And you go,
and sometimes you discover stuff like Troll Hunter.
Yeah.
Or, which was just a phenomenally good film. And
you wind up seeing things that can spark your imagination, spark your passion, spark your outrage. A movie like the movie about the chimpanzees, Project Nim. That was a great movie, but literally it had me so angry, I thought that I was going to have heart palpitations.
Yeah.
I was so upset. But it sparks that passion in you. And like I said, if you're one of these people that thinks film festivals are all people in turtlenecks sipping wine, driving Priuses to get there, and stuff like that.
Well, some festivals are like that, but others are not.
But not all of them.
Boston Underground last year brought a great film I loved. Kim didn't care for that much, called The Lure. Mm-hmm. It's a vampire mermaid
80s
musical. It's in theaters around the country right now. It opened 3 weeks ago. If you've not seen it, watch for it on demand, because it'll be there by summertime. It is a fall down, funny, and really scary as hell in places movie. And you can only find that at a film festival. And even though it was a major award winner, and it's Poland, it was where it came from. Mm-hmm. So it's a Polish.
It's a Polish mermaid vampire 80s musical movie.
Only at film festivals, and we'll be having the coverage of all the Boston Film Festivals starting this week on the renewed, revamped, and reborn. I sound like Dean Martin, so all of a sudden.
Put the drink down, honey.
I don't have a drink. Reborn, eCinemaBoston.com. Please check it out. So that's going to do it for our special show. It's kind of a half regular show and a longer Oscar show. The Oscar stuff is just really crazy that happened this year. Congratulations to all the winners over the weekend. Moonlight and
La La
Land winning most of the stuff at most of the awards, and not so congratulatory stuff to the winners from the Razzies, because we don't agree with them. In any case, this week we have, as I said just a couple minutes ago, the relaunch of eCinemaBoston, which will start with its massive Boston Springs Festival coverage of the Salem Film Fest, and go from there. We have a lot of other stuff going on, and we hope that you will take the time to join our Patreon campaign. We're 3 months into it. We have nobody on it, and we really do need you guys. This is going on our 12th year of work, and we have so many people that listen every week. And it really hurts my feelings that nobody can take the time to donate $2 a month. I know times are tight, but $2 a month, really? Please take the time, because we really could use some help with some upgrades and some plans for other projects we're working on and film festivals and stuff. And we do the show for you. We love doing it for us. But ultimately, without you guys, we wouldn't be here. And obviously, you guys are still out there or we wouldn't be here. So please join our Patreon campaign. Patreon.com/PNRNetworks, or click on that giant, big-ass Patreon button on every site. It's giant and orange and in the right-hand corner in most places.
Yep. And hopefully you guys will come and check out our other websites, including mine. My website, Platinum Roses Garden, where I talk about the TV show from the CW, Supernatural, in its 12th season. Thank you very much.
And already renewed for 13.
Yep. And I do episode reviews and talk about Supernatural news about the actors and things going on. This past week, I reviewed the episode Family Feud. I hope you'll come and check that out over at PlatinumRosesGarden.com.
And check out my show every week, Catastrophe Vortex with T.C. Kirkham. It is our new disaster movie show. This week, we will be doing Twister in honor of Bill Paxton, who we lost over the weekend, and we'll go over the losses from February on next week's show. Suddenly, he had complications during heart surgery. He was 61. And the Storm Chasers went out and paid tribute to him by putting his initials across 3 states. And that's just awesome.
It is.
You guys are awesome. I have a feeling Reed Timmer was involved with that somewhere. Anyway, we'll have Twister and a few other things on this week's show. And, of course, our mini-shows, Tuesday, Digidex on Tuesdays, and 3 Minute Weekend on Fridays, bringing you the new releases, home video on Tuesday, theatrical on Friday, all for the U.S. market. And don't forget Cavebabble with Eric and Valerie Lyon.
Right.
Every weekend. Great movies, games, TV, odd things to eat, and more. Eric and Valerie Lyon at Cavebabble.com. Until next time...
and own it. Drive it like you stole it. Roll it, this is your life. You can be anything. You gotta learn to rock and roll it. You gotta put the pedal down and drive it like you stole
For Subject Cinema, I'm T.C. Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
May your popcorn always be buttered.
And may your roses always be in bloom.
Can we shut up about award season now?
Until next year.
Which starts probably tomorrow.
You have been listening to Subject Cinema with hosts T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown. Subject Cinema is produced by PNRNetworks, Boston, Massachusetts, which is solely responsible for its content. Subject Cinema theme performed by Eric Lyon. Subject Cinema is recorded and produced using Sony Vegas products. Subject Cinema is copyright 2017 by PNRNetworks under a Creative Commons license. Check out a new episode of Subject Cinema every weekend. Until next time, this is Bob Taylor for Subject Cinema, and we'll see you at the movies.
That's all.
Podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.